Hi, VencoreWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, December 6th. The colder pattern has begun. A cold front slipped through the region last night with some rainfall here in the I-95 corridor. A different air mass this morning. Temperatures will hold nearly steady or even drop over the next several hours, and we'll get back to more seasonal chill over the next couple of days. An even colder air mass will arrive this weekend, and then another cold air outbreak by the middle part of next week. That one could be the coldest of these first three shots. And there are some chances for snow over the next several days, and we'll kind of focus in on that over the next several minutes. First of all, it's looking like this December will be a far cry from the last 5 years here in the I-95 corridor. Each December over the last 5 years in Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and New York City was above normal, in some cases way above normal. Does not look like that will be the case this year. We are now getting back to seasonal chill for the next couple of days, maybe a little bit below normal, and then even farther below normal this weekend and next week. And it looks like the important thing about this change to cold is that it will be rather sustained. Does not mean every single day will be below normal going forward through the month of December, but it likely means that each 5-day period or 7-day period going forward on average will be colder than normal, and certainly looking like December will be colder than normal. A lot different from these last several years. And 2 Decembers ago, 2015 was incredibly warm. Nothing like that coming this year. Well, a lot to talk about this morning. An interesting pattern going forward. Again, colder weather has now begun here in the I-95 corridor, and there will be some chances for snow over the next week or so, and going forward right to the end of December there will be some chances for snow. Any snow lover knows that the old rule of thumb is get the cold air in and then look for the snow. And it's not only getting the cold air in, but hoping for a sustained period of colder than normal temperatures. It certainly looks like that'll be the case here in the mid-Atlantic region going forward. We have sustained cold right through the end of the month of December, likely into January as well. Here's a quick look at the sea surface temperature anomaly map. Just wanted to point out that indeed we have a La Niña winter here. This is this whole area of blue here represent colder than normal sea surface temperatures. Another way of saying that is when you're looking at the equatorial part of the Pacific Ocean, and this line right here represents the equator, you're talking about La Niña. Certainly looks like going forward through the winter season, it'll remain a La Niña type of winter, and that has some ramifications that we'll go over the next few minutes. Well, this is a graphic we have shown in our winter outlook that was posted back in October for a typical La Niña type of weather pattern during the winter season. There tends to be a domination of the northern branch of the jet stream in a La Niña winter, and that's kind of represented here by this strip of blue here. Pours in cold air mass after cold air mass across southwestern Canada into the north-central U.S., into the Midwest, and over the next several weeks here, it looks like all the way across, right through and into the mid-Atlantic region, as well as the upper Midwest and northern plains. During an El Nino winter, when temperatures in the Pacific Ocean, the equatorial Pacific Ocean, are warmer than normal, you tend to have a domination of a southern branch of the jet stream, and that tends to help with the possibility of the classic coastal storm that pulls out of the Gulf of Mexico and rides up the east coast. That will not be the case this winter, at least for the most part, given the fact that it looks like it'll be a La Niña winter. Now, for a good coastal storm to form with a northern jet stream domination, you need to get a wave in the upper part of the atmosphere to drive down far to the south and east. And then that could spawn the development of a storm along the mid-Atlantic coastline that rides up the coast. But as long as the northern branch of the jet stream dominates, that's what you're looking for if you're looking for snow, is a wave in the upper part of the atmosphere, and we'll kind of focus in on that over the next few minutes, that dives deep into the southeastern U.S., that could set off the formation of a storm along the mid-Atlantic coastline that then rides up the coast. Now, given the fact that this looks like a La Niña pattern, it certainly does not rule out the possibility of the southern branch of the jet stream returning to some dominance and some type of coastal storm that comes out of the Gulf of Mexico riding up the east coast. In fact, there's a slight signal for such an activity, such a possibility of the southern branch of the jet stream during the latter part of December. We'll talk about that also in a couple of minutes. Well, let's take a look now at the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast maps averaged out over 5-day periods from last night's ensemble run of the GFS, just to kind of get a big picture of the long wave troughs here and high pressure ridging areas going forward through the next 15 days or so. This is the average for the current 5-day period, days 1 to 5, with a deep trough here in the eastern part of the U.S., strong ridging along the west coast of Canada, extending from Alaska all the way down into the Pacific Northwest, and some oranges showing up here across Greenland, representing kind of a high latitude blocking scenario with higher pressure than normal over Greenland. This is for the next 5 days. How about days 6 to 10? Well, here we go. A continuation of strong trough over the eastern part of the U.S., strong ridging over the western coast of Canada all the way down into the Pacific Northwest, and still some blocking going across the northern latitudes as represented on this particular map. This is again averaged out for a 5-day period of days 6 to 10, basically December 16th, December 11th all the way to December 16th. Now let's go forward to days 11 to 15. And here we go. Let's pull that up. Kind of an interesting twist here in the 11 to 15 day forecast. 500 millibar height anomalies still have a trough, but it's kind of shifted over a little bit, that it's more of a west to east orientation rather than north to south, focused on the southeastern part of Canada. Still some blocking to the north from Greenland all the way across the west coast of Canada. Now, one thing this does is raises the possibility that indeed there'll be some undercutting, some perhaps activation of the southern branch of the jet stream. And again, we're talking now about the latter half of December, December 16th to December 24th. This is actually a very interesting pattern that allows for the possibility of some waves of low pressure to ride along the southern route with the southern branch of the jet stream. There'll be quite a difference in temperatures, let's say, from the northeast U.S. to the southern U.S., and that is a little bit of a different story. Could result in some southern storminess that ends up moving towards the mid-Atlantic coastline during the second half of the month of December. Well, let's do the same sort of thing with the 850 millibar temperature anomalies. All of these maps, by the way, from tropicaltidbits.com. We'll look at 5-day averages. This is the current 5-day period, days 1 to 5. Colder than normal conditions throughout the eastern half of the nation, extending all the way down to the Gulf coastal region. Does not mean by any stretch that this is record-breaking cold or a brutal cold, but it's back to below normal, and it definitely is the start of a pattern change that will bring sustained colder than normal conditions to much of the eastern U.S. Let's go out now to days 6 to 10. And here we go, a continuation of colder than normal conditions centered on the northeastern U.S. This is days 6 to 10. And again, a sustained period of colder than normal conditions. Basically, the cold air masses will just reload and we'll get reinforcing cold air masses. This initial shot that has begun today will keep us cold right through Friday and into Saturday, and then there'll be another shot of cold air coming during the middle part of the weekend, perhaps associated with some snow showers and snow squalls late Saturday night into early Sunday. That air mass looks even colder than this initial shot. And then there'll be a third shot of cold air, a third outbreak of cold air by the middle part of next week, and that could be the coldest of these first three. Let's now go out to days 11 to 15. And here we go. This is when that upper level trough kind of flips from north-south orientation to west to east. Colder than normal conditions, still in the mid-Atlantic region all the way through New England. Again, there's a temperature gradient setting up with this kind of a pattern. This is as we begin the second half of the month of December. This could signal the activation of that southern branch and maybe some storminess that can ride across the southern states and then up the eastern seaboard. Not typical for a La Niña year, but again, those are only general ideas that the northern branch dominates. Certainly you can have some dominance of the southern branch even in a La Niña winter. This kind of a pattern indicates the possibility during the second half of December. Let's now take a look at the individual waves of energy at 500 millibars, vorticity maximum over the next 7 days or so. I wanted to point out the individual threats for snow here and how the upper air pattern is going to look. This is from the GFS model run at 0Z last night for this morning, and we'll just keep moving forward in 6-hour increments. Again, all these areas represent waves of energy in the upper part of the atmosphere. By tomorrow morning, we'll have a wave kind of stretched out from the Great Lakes all the way into the southwestern U.S., and that will help to set off, this particular wave will help to set off a wave of low pressure to form along the southeast coastline. Moisture will ride up the coast, but notice here that it remains generally a positively tilted, which means extending from the northeast to the southwest. That will prevent any rapid development that could produce significant precipitation in the immediate I-95 corridor. It's still a close call. Still could be some snow backing into the I-95 corridor later Friday night. This is really the first chance of some snow in this colder pattern. Later Friday night, as is strung out energy in the upper part of the atmosphere does try to form a coastal low, but again, it looks like most of that action will remain to the east of the immediate I-95 corridor. Let's now move forward here. Here we are, Saturday night. This is a very impressive looking upper level feature here, crossing the Great Lakes Saturday night, associated with the second blast of cold air. And it looks like this could very well cause some snow shower activity late Saturday night in the I-95 corridor from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City, perhaps even a few heavier snow squalls. This is a very energetic system associated with that second blast of cold air in the Saturday night, early Sunday time frame. Let's keep moving forward here. By Sunday morning, it's sitting right on top of the Mid-Atlantic region and the Northeast U.S. Cold air coming for the weekend here. High temperatures in the 30s. Probably Friday, Saturday, Sunday in the 30s. Today and tomorrow in the 40s. Again, kind of a step down in terms of the cold air masses. And then let's keep moving forward into the early and middle part of next week. And here we have very interesting upper level pattern here. By Tuesday morning, wave of energy over the western Great Lakes. And notice what happens with this particular wave. It dives deep, farther to the south and east than this current couple of waves of energy. And again, up front in this video, we talked about how with a northern branch dominating, to look for snow or coastal storms, you want to find an upper level feature that'll dig far to the south and east into the southeast U.S. And this has possibilities here. Here we go by Wednesday of next week, a vigorous area of energy in the upper part of the atmosphere. Bit of a negative tilted trough here. So again, possibility for some snow associated with that next shot of cold air by Tuesday and Wednesday time frame. We'll continue to monitor this threat over the next few days. This, in fact, could turn out to be the biggest threat of the next week or so. So multiple chances for snow coming over the next several days. Let's now take a look at the surface forecast map from last night's GFS model run. Well, here we go. This is from the 0Z GFS model run. We'll look at the surface forecast maps and again walk through in 6-hour increments. The cold front is off the coast right now, and we are in the colder air mass. Temperatures dropping perhaps in the I-95 corridor over the next several hours. The high temperatures have already been reached for the day. Let's keep moving forward here. Notice some moisture along the Gulf states, and that frontal system kind of gets hung up across the southeast coastline, and indeed with that wave of energy in the upper part of the atmosphere, tendency for low pressure to start to form near the southeast coastline. Again, with that positively tilted upper level trough, it'll be hard for this to back all the way into the I-95 corridor, but it's a close call. And here we go by Saturday morning. This particular run of the GFS does keep everything just to the south and east of the immediate I-95 corridor late Friday night into early Saturday, but there certainly is still the threat for some snow shower activity even into the immediate I-95 corridor with this first wave of energy. Then, looking upstream, here's that vigorous upper level low crossing the Great Lakes, causing some snow on Saturday over the Great Lakes. That just continues to drop into the northeastern U.S. and again, doesn't look all that impressive here, but I'm pretty impressed with the energy associated with this and the possibility of some snow showers Saturday night all the way from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City. Could be late Saturday night into early Sunday. Can even be a heavier snow squall or two, and this is a cold air mass that comes in. Sunday will be a very cold day with strong winds way below normal for this time of the year. Then let's keep moving forward here, and here we have that next possibility around Tuesday now. Another wave in the upper part of the atmosphere will be diving to the south and east, and that could set off the formation of a storm here in the Mid-Atlantic region, and that particular system will have very cold air following for the, let's say, Wednesday time frame. Again, strong northwest winds. This will be the pattern going forward for the next few weeks at least. A reloading of the cold air masses one after another. Again, it doesn't mean every single day will be below normal, but the average for the period is very likely to be below normal going forward through December. And some of these thicknesses are just very impressive here for this time of the year. I mean, this is way below normal temperature here by the middle part of next week. So we are now in a cold pattern. There are chances for snow going forward. Perhaps the greatest chance comes Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, but even as early as later Friday night, there's the initial shot, and then late Saturday night into early Sunday, a second shot, and then Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. A lot going on. Stay tuned to VencoreWeather.com over the next several days. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.